The episode that followed after Jailbreak was always going to have a lot to live up to. It was always going to feel a little underwhelming just because Jailbreak was in many ways so overwhelming. And so maybe, perhaps unfairly, every time I think about Full Disclosure, the first episode of the second season of Steven Universe, I feel kind of underwhelmed. Basically, this episode takes place immediately after the events of Jailbreak. Greg shows up and he sees that Steven is injured and he hears a little bit about what the Gems have been up to along with Steven. And he has kind of a freak out about it, which understandably freaks Steven out. And at the same time, Connie is trying to call him because in Jailbreak, Steven left Connie a message informing her of what was going on. And now Steven, having seen the reaction of his dad, is trying to decide how he should tell Connie what happened in such a way that she doesn't similarly freak out. This is when he meets up with Ronaldo, of all people, who gives him advice, this being advice from Ronaldo. Without even realizing it, Ronaldo advises Steven that he should shut people out if he's worried that they'll be hurt by what he does. And Steven absolutely should not have taken this advice to heart. Ronaldo had absolutely no idea what kind of situation Steven was actually dealing with. But he makes a decision to rededicate himself to the Gems and shut Connie out of his life so as not to get her hurt. And so as not to hurt her himself by divulging what he's been up to, like he did to his dad. But Connie, of course, shows up looking for him, eventually confronts him and makes it clear that it's her decision and that he should tell her. She's already a part of things anyway. Now, if he didn't know Connie as well at this point, if she didn't yet know that he was in constant danger, if they hadn't made much of a connection and he made the decision that he didn't want to let her into his life any further because of all of that, that would be valid. But Connie already knows that there's something up. She may not know the specifics, she may not know what happened during this specific event, but she already knows that spending time with Steven entails danger. Is she a little young to be making this decision for herself? Probably. But she's still a human being who can decide for herself, and Steven should have, from the very beginning, talked to her about this and asked her what she wanted to do, knowing all of this new information. He never should have tried to keep it from her, and that's the only takeaway from this episode. That's literally it. The thing with Greg at the beginning didn't even really amount to anything because he returns later and you see that he has managed to get his anxiety over the situation under control. I guess this is also kind of the episode where it finally hits for Steven that Gem stuff is as dangerous as everybody's been saying. Like, he'd come to that realization back in the return when he ran back to help the Gems, but this is when that revelation is actually sinking in and becoming part of who he is. And it's cool that they included that. I just don't know that they needed this episode specifically because of the next episode in order to convey that to us. Overall, not my favorite episode of the show. Not technically a bad episode. I know I don't always do this, but I do want to bring up the music in this episode. Now, this is nowhere near one of my favorite songs, but I do just want to point out before I end the review how interesting it was that they worked the ringtone that Steven has set for Connie into the melody of the song. That was just really clever, and that's really all I had to say on the subject. Overall, an episode that I don't regret seeing, but not one that I really have much desire to watch over and over again. But guys, what do you think of this episode? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.
Facing upstage, put up your left jazz hand, then your right jazz hand, and then wave them.